My name's Corbett Wall. In Chinese, people know me as Gao Pei Hua.
Okay.
I also have a Japanese name, Fuji Hiroshi, so I'm tricultural. I've been in Shanghai now, officially, meaning I've been officially here,
Right.
for a little over a year. I was about 2 years in Beijing, and I've been back and forth to Shanghai for about 10 years.
Okay.
In the past 20 years, I arrived in Taiwan in 1988. It was a little tough to live in China at that time.
Right, right.
So you can say I've been
Yeah.
over here most of my adult life.
Okay, and then what do you do now?
Right now I'm China director for a company called Jade Dragon Development.
Okay.
It's an interesting company in the sense that we've positioned ourselves between the investor, the developer, and the retailer.
So
And
what sector? I'm assuming is it the
it's okay, so yeah, I'm taking this.
retail
I'm just
sector?
assuming, right?
Right.
We're involved in large format retail
Okay.
properties.
Wow, so shopping centers,
Shopping
things like
centers,
that.
they call them big box stores, hypermarkets, things like that.
A lot of competition actually in that market, isn't there, for the foreigner?
Well, actually, yes, there's a lot of
retail.
interest in this market because of the growing retail need in
Right.
China. And we've realized that there's some serious gaps between the three major players.
Got it.
And so our positioning is to close those gaps.
So you've been here on and off for 10 years, but
Mm-hmm.
living here for a year. I'm always interested to know, were there any misconceptions that you had when you first arrived in China? And what were they? And where are you now?
Good question. Lots of misconceptions because when you come here, you have a lot of expectations.
Right.
And I think one of the major misconceptions, you think there's a lot of Chineseness going on here. Actually, Taiwan is in many ways more Chinese than being here.
Interesting.
And so living there, you see a lot of the older culture, you see a lot of practices. There's a lot of the subtle internal relationship cultures, the families and things, which you don't see so much here. You have the
Right.
one-child policy, you have a lot of things. So you don't ask, for example, you don't ask somebody, so how many brothers and sisters you have?
Right.
That's something normal that you
Right.
ask, you know, a
So it
Chinese
takes
person
getting
anywhere in the
used
world,
to,
right?
yeah.
So little things like that. I think the biggest misconception as a foreigner is that Shanghai is behind the times.
And it's not so.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
I think the biggest misconception as a foreigner is that Shanghai is behind the times.
And it's not so.
Definitely not.
Yeah,
Definitely
but
not. Absolutely
it's
not.
not so. And do you feel it takes people to actually physically come here, step off a plane, and see for themselves?
Well, yeah. You know, anything you read in a magazine or you see on TV is usually already way behind.
Right.
So you really have to.
And
be
you're
here.
talking current events,
I'm talking
like
current
latest
events.
stories.
Yeah, you open up the latest Business Week, and it's already passed. You know, this is something
Right.
that happened months ago.
Right.
So by being here, you actually start to understand the real speed. I liken it to people ask me, you know, that really don't understand this. I liken it to being a washing machine,
Right.
and it's a washing machine full of money. And then you have some people inside the washing machine, right? But they're stuck against the wall. They can't move, you know.
Right.
And they're all there. And then you have people above the washing machine trying to stick their hand in. And
That's an interesting way
and,
of
and,
putting it.
and you usually break an arm or wrist in the
Right.
process. So that's what happens.
It's almost like that's your battle scars, though, isn't it?
Right.
No, but it's interesting. So, as someone who probably also has a lot of friends who are foreigners doing business in China, what are some misconceptions you notice from them, or are they fairly similar? Or is there anything you see, like the typical foreigner coming into China?
I see a lot of this.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of the foreigners in China, what I'm seeing is a lot of people coming quite prepared to be here.
Okay.
They've spent a lot of time studying this. I think I find a lot less the let's put a backpack on and go to go to Asia.
Adventure, yeah.
20 years ago,
Right.
there was a lot of that.
Right.
But now, I mean, they're around. They're down in Lijiang or down in Yunnan somewhere, out in Sichuan. But coming into Shanghai, people here are pretty fired up to do business. And what I see them is coming here trying to be as prepared as they can. I see a lot of foreigners that speak really good Chinese, especially in Beijing. So, you know, as a foreigner watching this, if you want to come here and do business, really hone up on your Chinese.
Right, right, definitely. And what's interesting also is in the 20, 30 years that China's opened up to foreign investment, there's been a lot of foreigners coming into the market and brought a lot of influence with them. Obviously, you know, Shanghai is a perfect example of that. But having said that, a lot of people, you know, never speak to the fact that there has also in this time been a lot of Chinese who have gone overseas, internationalized themselves, and come back to contribute also to the growth of the entire country. Having said that, is there still a role for foreigners here?
Good question.
Yeah.
I believe in a lot of corporations. You know, they're localizing.
Okay.
So I know a lot of people who run divisions that have localized everyone but themselves.
Right. Okay.
So they're about to,
and that's a trend that continues, obviously.
It's a trend. In the housing market, it's a trend because what you want to do is you want to train your staff locally to be able to understand the business processes that you run.
Right.
And that's the first stage, right? And there's a gap there. The second stage, I think, is the people that go abroad and come back. They've already got a real good dose of Western business practice. And I think it's fantastic. They're coming back, they're running businesses, they're running departments, they're managers.
Entrepreneurs too, we
yes.
interviewed a few, yeah.
They have great ideas, great concepts, and they're Chinese. So for foreigners here, I feel your value then is not so much your body value. You're not just occupying a seat in an office.
Right.
Your value is a lot in your culture. I believe all environments need a culture. So having foreigners in your workplace creates a different culture.
Right.
It upsets the balance a bit.
It does. Mixes things up,
yes.
yeah.
But because of the amount of business back and forth, it's always good. If you have a Finnish guy in your office, he's going to naturally want to do business with Finnish people.
Right.
And if you have a Brit in your office, he's going to naturally feel comfortable socializing with Brits.
Right.
And it creates a sense of it's a dynamic sense, which is what Shanghai is. So, for example, I come to this bar here, and the other day it was full of Brits in the real estate business. And see what I mean? But it was all Chinese as well.
Right.
So, to answer your question about foreigners being here, the value, I believe, is bringing a sense of where you come from, some of the processes of how you do business, and a lot of it is interacting with other organizations to bring in different types of social levels to your business.
And do you get a sense of this? I also feel in the recent years there's been a lot of Chinese who are now, I guess at stages of their company, their entrepreneurs, they want to expand internationally.
Right.
So perhaps I'm just talking out loud here, that helps being exposed to a city like Shanghai where you do work around foreigners for when they're ready to go overseas.
Yeah,
it's
not so strange,
Yeah, makes sense though.
I think now the average Shanghai office worker has probably been exposed to some level to foreign thought processes.
Right.
It's really completely different logic doing business. And if you can understand that there's different logic systems to the way, value systems, what's important, what's not important. And I think a foreigner that's been here a while can bridge those gaps.
Right.
But it's important the Chinese to understand that, hey, listen, there's other ways of doing things that are also successful. Why don't you play with those ideas? And when you go abroad, you'll find out that, that's the majority idea.
Right.
Just like when foreigners come here, they feel that they're entitled to have their opinions and that their ideas should work, and they usually don't because there's a different idea here.
Right. Okay, great. Okay, so Corbett, last but not least, there's a lot of oh, okay.
I'm Marie.
You're okay?
Yeah.
I have a...
We go to Alter and this one.
Whatever.
Last but not least, our audience, a lot of them are new to doing business in
Right.
China. What advice do you have for people?
Oh, this is a great question. I think the best advice I have is don't assume anything.
Right.
As Westerners, we have a lot of assumptions of the way things are done. Business a lot of times is done based upon these assumptions, whether they're the value of money, the value of people, your own personal ethics systems. I mean, these are assumptions. And when you come here, a lot of these assumptions don't hold true. So don't assume that things will happen the way you expect them to happen. You need to be very open-minded, and I believe you need to take your blinders off because opportunity comes from 360 degrees. And a lot of times you're approaching a deal in such a way that you might not see that the other person is actually saying something, you're not hearing it. So keep your ears, eyes open. Really pay attention to what people are saying, their body language. A lot of times you'll get, I see, that doesn't mean yes.
Right.
Or
that takes time to understand.
Yes, it takes time to understand that doesn't mean yes. And this doesn't mean no.
Right.
So when you start understanding these things, I believe that business will become more transparent for you. It won't be so strange.
Okay, great. Now, Corbett, where do we go to learn more about your company?
Well, you can come to our website. It's pacific-geopro.com. If you want to learn more about me, you can come to my own personal site, which is not business place. It's called 3Q to you, and in Chinese and Japanese, it's kind of funny because it sounds like thank you to you.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Corbett, thanks for joining us today.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate it.
And happy birthday.
Oh, there you go. You better edit that out.